Hi. In this episode, I will go back to my experiences in the first winter season of Syracuse and in the fall semester. Officially, the winter season in upstate New York begins on the 1st of November, and by February it will be over. The severe winter will be over. Then I still remember a guy by name Barry Cohn, who also was a first semester graduate student among the 11 new graduate students that joined the Hero Ideology Lab. Barry is a BSc graduate from City University of New York system, from one of the 24 colleges. All along he was living in the suburb of New York City, and where the winter is milder, much more mild. He came over to Syracuse, and we struck for some reason a similar chord, and he used to talk to me at least for every day, in fact, whenever he comes down to the main floor. And he told me, "Hey Vic, look, the winter here is so bad, and you are coming from India." And I said, "I'm coming from a place whose latitude is 8.52. That is what Trivandrum is. And then Syracuse, in fact, is 43 north latitude. So it is a humid, temperate climate, and the winters, because Syracuse is in the upstate New York, is very cold, or rather colder. And the temperature there can hit, effectively, like for example, minus 35 degree Fahrenheit. 35 degree Fahrenheit is when water freezes, and it can even go to minus 30 in the minus numbers. And especially when there is a winter squall. Well, the word itself is very unfamiliar to us in India. Squally weather is a kind of weather when you have high-speed winds and also heavy snowfall. In other words, the ideal thing that anybody does during a squally day is to stay back home in closed doors. You don't go for work because everywhere will be cold. Your car will be cold, the street will be cold, your office where you go and work will be cold. All the schools will be shut down except the Syracuse University. Universities generally don't shut down for winter because all our students are all adults, and faculty is also in the late adulthood. So they know, they have seen several winters, unlike the children who are liable to catch cold and get medical attention or go to doctor's office, or to avoid those things. The children are made to stay back home, and the city will take the decision which school and what are the schools to be shut down. And another interesting thing is, when Barry told that I am going to be very difficult going to go through a difficult winter season in the upstate New York, especially in the Syracuse, where the average annual snowfall on any year will be upward of 400 inches. That is the point. In other words, if you added all the snow in terms of inches and accumulated it, then it can be above 400 inches. There is a town on the east coast of Lake Erie called Watertown, very aptly called Watertown, where the snowfall, accumulated snowfall, is like somewhere around 600 to 700 inches. And there also are many Indians living there, people who work as in the churches, Malayalis in fact, as well as their families and friends, and who work in different jobs. So all that you have to do is you got to be properly dressed to withstand the chill or cold, severe cold weather. And you not only that, from head to toe, you got to be dressed up. So I told Gan that I need to go and buy before, in the month of October itself, that some gear to make me fit to live in Syracuse, especially from my apartment in 700-acre manor and over to the Hero lab. I have to make a walk. I can carry my lunch. I always carried my lunch, sandwiches. But in the evening also I will have to go back and then again come back, etc., etc. So I will be exposed to this cold weather, and I might, like to quote Barry Cohn or Barry, even my blood vessels will clot or freeze. That's what he told me. And this guy always walks around in the building with a sweater on. So that is something else. Maybe he is, very much averse to the cold weather. Then anyway, one evening, Chopin and Gan and I just went to what is called a shopper's fair. And there, we made some purchases. And one thing that I purchased I was asked to buy was what is called a long johns. A long john is a upper wear and a lower wear. A very tight-fitting acrylic trouser, pants, or not a pajama, it is not loose-fitting, it is tight-fitting. Similarly, there is a upper wear or something like a undershirt, which is also made of acrylic and full sleeve with a round neck. That is also acrylic, roughly rough white or off-white in color. Then, acrylic, is a guard given, if you want to say that way, but of course the guards were working in the laboratory, and it is a man-made fiber. And that gives you fantastic looking and extremely cheap cold weather wear. You can buy sweaters those days, acrylic sweaters, very thick, and for $4. And the long john, of course, you don't buy every season. You don't need many pairs. And I did not know that it was essential only for the people who work as carpenters and masons or road repair fellows in the outdoors. They always wear what is called a long john, then blue jeans, blue denim jeans, then jacket, etc., winter wear. And a hat, of course, and gloves. And whereas, people who work indoor, probably we don't know. I did not know. Ghanshyam had one, Chopin had one, so they thought it was a fair requirement for me also. I purchased it. And then, acrylic socks, and then an acrylic sweater, and so on and so forth. And of course, an acrylic cap. Then, on the first day of what is called winter in Syracuse, it is November 1st, I had all these put on my body. In other words, you have your long john at the first layer of clothing. Over that, you have a blue jeans, and then you wear a t-shirt or some kind of a undershirt on the what is called long john, over the long john, and then a shirt, and then followed by the acrylic sweater. And it was very comfortable when I was in home. It was all the homes are wooden frame homes. So there is insulation as well as, a rather chillness in the air. There is always a space heater or a centralized heating, so that keeps you warm and comfortable when you are in home. And of course, I walked from there to the Hero Geology lab. It's about under a mile, I would think. In 15 minutes I will be, if I leisurely walked. I had a pair of winter shoes also. So over the shoes, some people wear a shoe cover to protect you protect the pair of dress shoes, not only to protect and safeguard your walking through the snow, so that you don't slip off and fall down and break bones. Okay, so I just comfortably walked down and got into the camp Heroi lab. And then the Heroi lab is actually, the temperature is, I think, 74 degree Fahrenheit. That is how the thermostat is kept always. So a comfortable temperature to work if you had a sweater on, that's all. And then I, took the elevator, did not walk up, and then I walked into my office, 220 Heroi Geology Lab, opened the door and sat in my seat. And of course, then what I did, I removed my hat, winter hat, and of course, I took a wind cheater, but I was not wearing the wind cheater. Wind cheater is actually a thin jacket, so to speak, and it is a acrylic. It's not acrylic; it is a polyester fabric, and with a lining. Because I did not think on that day the wearing of the jacket over my acrylic sweater was very essential, because it was not that cold when I had all the multi-layer dresses on. So when I settled in my office, one strange thing happened. My body started sweating right from the neck down to the toe, because the so-called long john was actually so uncomfortable, and it was actually also retaining all the heat, body heat, that I started sweating. Fine. Then I had no choice but to get rid of the so-called long john if I wanted to sit comfortable and work in my office desk. And what could you do? All that you can do is you can go to the men's room, then get rid of layer after layer of your garments, finally the long john, and then put the regular dress on. And men's room, of course, people frequent the men's room. It is morning time. I was in the department like 8 o'clock, and the students were coming in, undergraduates and so on and so forth. And of course, one good thing in the US is in the men's room or in the toilet or in the battery of showers is that nobody cares about who is wearing dress or who is not wearing any dress. So that is a good thing. That's part of their culture anyway, and all are adults anyway. So I got rid of this and I dressed properly and then went back to my seat. That was the first time ever I used, or the last time and first time ever I used the long john through 5 winters that I was through in the Syracuse town, because I was comfortable otherwise. All that I needed was a undershirt, a dress shirt, and on top of that, what is called the acrylic sweater. And of course, I had a pair of winter shoes and what is called acrylic socks. And that was not very uncomfortable, but the shoe was very cheap. I paid only $5 or so, and I had slipped several times when there is a dusting of snow on the ground. If it is a heavy snowfall, absolutely no problem. What happens is you will not slip. There will be a grip. Or else, if you wanted to buy a real snow shoes or winter shoes, the price starts at $18 to $20 and upward. That is the problem. We cannot afford that much. I could not anyway. Then another interesting thing is about what happened in that semester. In the academic side, I registered for a course taught by Professor Merriam. It is actually computer applications in geology. Teaching assistant of this course was Ghanshyam Srivastava. Professor Merriam had also written a book along with John Harbaugh of Stanford University on computer application and stratigraphic analysis. That is, That is the recommended book for that particular course. That means all the students are supposed to go buy a copy of the book from the university bookstore. And being a course offered by the chairman, all the new graduate students, all the 11, attended that course and registered for the course for credit. And Professor Merriam is a very busy person. He travels a lot to Washington, D.C., to National Academy of Sciences, to the Department of State, and so on and so forth. Because for various businesses, official businesses, where geologists are required by the government of the United States to attend. Then those days Ghanshyam will come, and it was another interesting thing was Ghanshyam actually was a very good FORTRAN programmer. In fact, I think the first principal component analysis FORTRAN 4 program was authored by Srivastava and Chuck Ondrick, Ondricko. Srivastava and Ondrick it is called. This is actually, this document, the source code was available in print form from the University of Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas. So that is to say, how smart Ghanshyam is in writing or in doing FORTRAN programming to be run on the mainframe computers. So that is the course where I had an exposure to FORTRAN 4 programming. And of course the compiler those days was Watt 4 and Watt 5. FORTRAN 4 for Watt 4 and Watt 5. That is how it is. There is a textbook also that came from the University of Waterloo. This Watt 4, Watt 5 book, FORTRAN 4 for Watt 4 and Watt 5 book was published by two guys from the University of, it's a paperback book from the University of Waterloo in Canada. So I dabbled with what is called computer programming. And there is a computer room in the basement of the Hiroi lab. There are 2 tele-terminals and 4 or 5 card punching machines. And the tele-terminals are actually used for what is called APL programming. APL stands for another programming language. In other words, this is an interactive system and run on the mainframe computer in the other end of the campus. In the other end of the campus, in the sense, diagonally opposite to the Steel Hall or the graduate school office. And to the west side of graduate school office is the Hiroi Geology Department, and on the rear side of the Hiroi Geology Lab was the University Stadium. And in the front side of the Hiroi Hall, we had what is called the music school, and then Maxwell School of International Relations. We might, some of us might remember a name, Patrick Moynihan, who was one-time ambassador in India of the United States. And he was actually, Pat Moynihan was a professor in the Maxwell School of International Relations, and also two-term senator in the U.S. Senate. So when we do the key punching, initially what you do is you write the statements, FORTRAN statements, and then consult the book. And if there is a doubt or whatever you have, you go and talk to Ghanshyam. Ghanshyam will fix that. Then we go to the what is called the card punch system, and there you make the punch cards, take it. It is winter time. Walk back to the University Computers Center, which is IBM 370/144 was the model for the machine, and that computer center will be, even in winter, will be overcrowded until 10 o'clock because there will be assignment that the students will have to turn in. So you join there, and our programs as a beginner, actually maybe 11 or 12 step computation, simple things. So that we learn the basics of how to keep and how to write the statements, etc., logically, so that the program will not bomb instead run. And also another thing is, The next class meeting, what you have to do is you have to submit the results of the program that ran along with the bunch of cards. So that was a very interesting session on the semester where I learned something about FORTRAN program, FORTRAN 4 programming, as well as an overview of the computer applications in the field of stratigraphic analysis as well as in the field of geology in general. Okay.